think we're live. Once again, welcome back. Station WBMCT, Black Middle Class Talk. Another week, another action-packed week, as always, in America. And we are here at this station just talk about black issues, which are American issues, so don't get it confused. Same issues black people have, it's the same issues America has. So, and middle class black people are the same as any other class of black people, no big deal there. So what we aim to do is just communicate and talk about issues that maybe you don't see in the mainstream media. I don't know. Come down here, we're going to talk just basic talk. My name is CC, got my co-host here, EB, and we're going to talk it up for about an hour here and then leave it from there. Okay, so as we always do, we start out with domestic news and then we go to international news in the first 15 minutes. Today's subject is going to be black heroes.
Black American and America's wars.
Black Americans and America's wars. Yes. And that's going to be the subject today. We always pull a good subject up. And then at the end there, we do entertainment. As always, EB always gets us started with today's domestic news, international news. They always go into each other. And I'm supposed to do domestic news, but we wound up they both tie in together with this orange Jesus that we have. Right. So that's where we're at. Right. So what you got for brother?
Okay, well today, like you said, I know we normally pick one subject to speak about as far as domestic, but today we're gonna do a collage and then hit each one of them just a little bit. First thing we talk about is the new DHS Secretary, Wayne Mullen. Is that there's a lot of back and forth as far as like what, but it was always understood that he was going to probably be confirmed, and he's just a continuation of Kristi Noem, the way he thinks and the way that he operates. They say there's no difference in it. That's just one of the things that was talking about domestically. The other thing, like I said, collage. The other thing we're talking about is the war in Iran. They got this title for Trump, and they call him Taco. Trump always chicken out. He gave a 48-hour warning saying is that if they don't open up Strait of Hormuz, and then he took that back and he made it to 5 days, and now they're talking about they're in talks with the Iranians, but that turns out to be not true. So, I seen this morning that they have a delegation with J.D. Vance and the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, and they supposed to be in talks with Iran. But the question is that who are they talking to? They're not talking to the Supreme Leader. They're not talking to, because most of the other folks that was in office position, they are either in hiding or they're dead. So, that part of it, we have to question this person that they're talking to. So those are some of the things. And then, like I said, just the scoop of it, the Epstein files that they came up and found some more information on different things about the Epstein file. Come to find out that they never interviewed Epstein's accountant, in which that was the big, because they say follow the money. And now it's being realized is that they never even interviewed. So it's just a whole lot of different things that are coming up about things that's going on in this world. So those are some of the, like a little kaleidoscope of the domestic news.
Yeah, and I like you went to the Epstein files, and I think that's what the majority of our problems are with the orange Jesus, and it doesn't matter who's going to sacrifice to take that attention away from the Epstein files. We just find ourselves in America in what they call a quagmire situation. The Republicans, I don't even know what they are anymore. I wouldn't consider them a political party. I got a question. Have you ever voted for a Republican?
No.
Right? Not one?
Not a one.
Not one.
Not a one. My cousin voted for George Bush. That's the first time I remember anybody that I knew personally that had voted for George Bush.
Okay. Yeah. And the reason why I bring that up is this cowardice unpatriotic cowards. I'm not. Is racism that deep that they have this phrase "owning the libs"? Is racism that deep? Now the libs are generally. What is a lib, by the way?
They
Come on.
call them a liberal.
Liberal. I know
Right.
it's a liberal. What is a
Right.
liberal?
Well, they say the liberal is that they go for all these, what consider lack of a better word, these heartwarming things. Like
Social.
Social Security, welfare. Housing. That's the thing. They call them bleeding heart liberals. In other words, anything to take care of the people is considered a liberal.
And the reason why I ask, because I once had the white guy at work one time called me a lib. I'm a lib, right?
Right.
I was like, man, what's a lib? What's a liberal? What? Tell me what. And he told me to go look it up, which told me that he didn't even know.
Right.
Because these are just labels. And
Right.
the reason why I bring that up, I was talking about the Republican Party. You were talking about the issues that we have here in America with the war and all. This could be over tomorrow. This is unforced error. There's no need for. We're in a war, unforced war. We attacked another country unprovoked, based on a whim of maybe they might attack us, and it's just. But it wasn't even about that. It was all about the Epstein files, and it still is, as you say. They're dripping and dropping information out, as you made mention of. What's the new guy's name that you were saying?
Mullen. Wayne Mullen.
Oh, but he's not part of the Epstein files now. He's just
he's
appointed
DHS.
DHS. He's
DHS.
taking Christy Noon's
Christy Noon's
position.
place.
And by the way, you talk about unqualified. And like I said, I don't want to hear anything about black people being unqualified for anything. I don't even want to, not even garbage collector, because we have never seen an American government, the federal level, so many unqualified people in qualified places. This man has, what was he, a former plumber?
He was a plumber, MMA fighter.
A professional fighter.
Yeah, exactly.
I think he got a third thing on his resume. And by the way, he's a senator.
He's a senator.
Oh, God. Yeah. And so that speaks to the people who sent him to the federal government. This is your representative. And the same thing with Trump. Or Dunny, I'm gonna call him Dunny. Dunny, he, he represents the United States of America.
Right.
Did you hear what he said about Mullen? Who was the guy that did the report?
Mueller, yeah.
Mueller.
The
Mueller
one that died.
He
the
died.
Director of FBI.
Director, what's his name?
I don't know his first.
Mueller. I wish I could remember his first. Sorry,
Man,
don't remember his first name, but he just passed, and then Trump says, what he says about him, he's glad. He said,
I said, Mueller is dead. I'm glad. That means he cannot hurt any more innocent people. That's to imply that he hurt innocent people, which is himself.
He was innocent. He's an innocent person.
Right.
But just the fact that this man has no bottom. There is no bottom. I keep telling people, who would have thought that when somebody died, the president of the United States, not just some regular MAGA walking around the country, and just got a lot of grievances in his pocket. This is the president, Robert Mueller. Thank you.
Sorry.
Me too. Condolences to his family. Because my point is, and I don't even know the man, but even still, like I just gave the family condolences, there are some things that are just proper etiquette.
Yes.
And one thing that's not proper etiquette is to say, I'm glad he's dead.
Right.
What shell of a human being would think of something like that?
But then again, it goes into the makeup of who he is. Is that he is anybody that he feels that has wronged him, he has nothing for them. In other words, that old saying that he's dead to me, and that's no pun intended, right? Yeah. But I'm saying that's how he sees it. I mean, no matter who it is, if you have had anything that have said anything you said negative against him, anything you said, and then all these people that their lives have been ruined, and all they was doing, same thing Mueller was doing, is his job.
Right.
He was appointed to do that job.
Right. And that's a good point you make, that people are just trying to do their job and do the right thing. You swore an oath to the Constitution, right? To uphold the Constitution. And you probably should read it. It's not that long. Got 3 articles, and that's pretty much it. You got the executive branch, the judicial branch, and the legislative branch. And so, but everybody in the service goes into government to raise their right hand, and they say that they swear to uphold the Constitution. And most do. Most do their job. It's not rocket science, but just the fact that this man has no bottom, and that's what we are as a country. This man represents us as a country, black, white folks, Chinese folks, Hispanics folks. We, as a country in democracy, we chose this man to represent us. Now, mind you, 4 million black people got knocked off the roll, so we got an argument to say, hey, we didn't choose them. You knocked us off, and now all of a sudden, you see where they're going with it now, right? Everybody's getting knocked off. Now the women are going to officially get knocked off.
Yeah,
you ain't
because
got
they married.
their names are not. So we're in a quagmire here. America's under attack. Make no mistake about it. Who would have ever thought that your own government would be attacking its own people? In America, that is. Right. So to talk about Iran as if there's some type of demon or boogeyman out there on the other side of the world that we need to fear, when people are getting shot and killed right here in America, literally. And, children are being taken from their families, the whole, you name it, almost just demonic type stuff.
Right. And one more add-on is that then he's sending ICE to the airport saying that he's going to help with the lines. Trump is taking this moment is that the Democrats and Republicans had already came to an agreement to say we will pay TSA, pay the Coast Guard. But then again, Trump said no. Mm-hmm. And the reason why he said no is that he feel like he got the Democrats back up against the wall. Mm-hmm. He's saying because of those long lines and so, people being frustrated. Right. So he's playing off their frustration. But the thing of it is that he wants to add that SAFE Act in there. He said, yeah, we'll go ahead and let you pay them. But then again, I want to add that SAFE Act, which requires that ID, picture ID for the voting.
Right.
And he's saying that's the most important thing. And the reason why it's the most important thing is that if he don't get that into play, he know he stands no chance in hell at come.
Right. So you're
come
saying
November.
That this is
November.
So you're saying that this is just a voter suppression type.
Right. Exactly.
And I agree too. I mean, It's no secret that's what's going on. But like I say, for black people, we've been going through this suppression for 400 years. This is just a new form of Jim Crow, but it's applied to all of America. We've been dealing with it, so it's nothing new to us. Or shouldn't be. That we get off. And I commend black people for showing up and voting like they should and trying to do the best we could. And I know we could do better, but I'm almost certain that we're out front as far as our participation in the voting roles. And in fact, I can almost say for certain we have a lot of power in the Democratic Party because of the primaries.
Right.
But now, once you get out the primary, we just kind of get watered down with the rest of them. We fold back because it's not, numbers-wise, it was just not that many black people in America. There's 320 million black people. People in America, and there's 40 million black people. 20, I think, which are African-American myself, but that's debatable to me. So, but we'll come back and we'll take a quick break. Running a little bit behind. We're going to just kind of jot over the international news, which is going to be quick, and then we'll go into today's subject, World War II. The black veterans of America. So we'll take a quick break real quick and come back. All right, we're back. Okay, for the international news, we got a war going on in Iran. The way I understand it, the Strait of Hormuz is blocked, driving up prices of gas. Um, a lot of ripple effects are happening in the United States. Stock market is crashing. And like I say, it's just an unforced error. It looked like we're sending troops over there to get slaughtered. Going to walk straight into an ambush, I'm sure. If would you say Orange Jesus? If Orange Jesus is in charge, we're going to walk right into an ambush. They Hegseth has no leadership skills whatsoever. He's a child at play with people's lives. Just totally un-American. I'm just kind of stunned at the ignorance and the what they call malfeasance. Yeah, it's just in the deplorable deprivation of human beings I've ever seen in America. That's top level. To say that we're not in trouble is an understatement for America. This might be the last. You know, most empires don't last more than 300 years on the average. In fact, more than 200 years. We're above the average. 200 to 300 years, most empires. We're at 250, so we're right in there. And this might be. I don't know what we're going to look at coming out of this, because they're really trying to reshape America to be some 1929 type viewpoint. And like I say, it's all about the Epstein files, all this distraction. But so we got the war, we got Ukraine that's going on still. Look like they were looking to give us a little help there, huh? We was in a little trouble. They say, hey, we can help you with the drones.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
And we kind of pushed them back, said, hey, we don't need your help because we screwed you. We got pride, and now we're in the same position where, and so.
Because I heard they have real good technology in that.
Right, they have developed their own out of necessity.
Right.
Hey, more proud of them. You know, fight for your freedom. That's what we're trying to do here in America. No King's Day is coming up. It's coming Friday. You going?
Yeah. Is it Friday or Saturday?
Saturday.
Yeah.
I might get a head start. Got out there a little early, stake my position. You know, kind of do a.
Got my horn and everything.
What they say, do a recon. Make sure that, we get next to get next to a safe ditch or something.
Right, exactly. So a car can't come across here.
Yeah, it can get pretty rough on the protest line. But we did the last one. I did the one. So this will be the third one, and so I plan on being there myself. Israel is that school that got bombed at the United States. They determined it was the United States, and what country was that?
It was in Iran.
Iran.
Yes.
That's
at the beginning of the war.
In the beginning of the war.
And they said, and they was doing the bombing with old intel, because the regime used to have a military company in that area, so they bombed it thinking that they was close, and it was now a school.
Yeah, I heard that story, but you really can't. For me, I don't believe anything they say, because Israel, you partnered up with Israel, who is known to bomb schools and churches. And the first thing out the box you do is bomb a school. And that's a fingerprint of Israel.
Right.
And I think, as they say, Israel pulled us into this. And did you see the Marine that went to some hearing, had his uniform on? He raised HELL, like he doesn't want to fight for Israel, Jews, And
is that right?
Yeah, they had to pull him out, and had to bring 3 or 4 guys, just pull him out. Basically he was what they call that. It was a type of protest when they call that. They have a name for it. It's not coming.
Oh, it was a hearing?
I don't think. Yeah, it was some type of hearing.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm. And so they pulled him out. So that's pretty much on the. Of course, we got Sudan war. We don't hear about and when that brings me to this point about the media. The media has totally collapsed. It's bad when you got to watch The View to get an update. And The View being the television. television show on Channel 7 with the Whoopi Goldberg and her partners there. You have to, yeah. Or Jimmy Kimmel, you got to get your new, or, all the talk shows, you have to get your news from them because, the normal news is just absent. They've been bought out, I guess. That's the playbook of Hungary, by the media, and Russia, by the media, and control the narrative. But in America, I hope that's not successful. In fact, that's why we're here doing what we're doing. At least we can get some news amongst ourselves and some way get to the truth. And the truth always comes back to the Epstein files. Yeah, and it's just
full circle.
I like to say I find it abhorrent that we got America has a pedophile is
right.
The lead. I just can't believe that this man. The last report was some 14-year-old he wanted to make her do some sexual act and she didn't do it, so he beat her up. And I get that right.
Well, like you say, so many different stories, but the story that I heard is that this 13-year-old, he was told to give him oral sex, and then I think she started, and then she bit him, and then he slapped her, and then kicked her out.
Wow.
Yeah, and like allegedly.
They're playing the president's music, but of course
that's way before.
Yeah, I know. It was before he became president.
He had aspiration.
Oh well. But anyway, that's pretty much it for Did you have anything on the international?
No.
I know the airports are backed up. It looks like.
Yeah.
And that's that's going to be a problem.
Right. And it's a problem that could be fixed. But then again, like I was saying earlier, is that Trump don't want that. He wants to use. He loves chaos, and so he deals in chaos. So the chaos is those long lines, 4 hours you have to go to the airport 4 to 5 hours before your flight just to get through security. He loved that. So now he thinks that the American people are frustrated. So they are frustrated. But then again, they're trying to sell that the reason why those lines are like that is because the Democrats are not paying TSA. But that's not a true statement, because of what we asked for with ICE. So they had worked the deal. But then again, they presented it to Trump, and he said, no, I don't want y'all to take that deal, because the deal was they were going to pay main thing, pay TSA and get all the lines back up. But then again, his chaos again, instead of paying the TSA, going and sign the bill to pay the TSA off, he sent ICE into there. And that ruling that they did years ago, everybody said, well, what's the big deal? Why is it that the Democrats are bothered by, ICE being there if ain't nothing wrong?
Mm-hmm.
But then again, they have the ruling now that an ICE official can see someone that looks like they Hispanic, and they can go up to them and address them. So that's
they call that the Kavanaugh stops.
Yeah, the Kavanaugh stop. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right.
Because the Supreme Court justice wrote the deciding decision. They pinned it, and that's why they call it Kavanaugh stop, because basically they ruled that was okay. Racial profiling is fine.
Yeah.
That's why they
trust me. We know a lot about that.
That's what I'm saying. There's nothing new that's happening in America
exactly.
that hadn't happened to black people. Look at. And by the way, do you think are we being set up for tragedy here in America? Or another 9/11? Do you think we're being set up by Putin? Putin moving the troops overseas, moving the ships overseas. He's shut down. Of course, the TSA officers aren't getting paid. I'm just saying the intelligence officers have been let go. Are we being set up for a 9/11 so that Trump, he's an arsonist and a firefighter all in one, right? He starts the fire and then he shows up with the water hose. Wow, I'm a big hero.
Right.
Has cause and effect. And so are we being set up for another 9/11? That's mine. And in fact, these young men going overseas, I would seriously consider being a conscientious objector, because your leader has shown he has no interest in American soldiers, has, in fact, he almost has
American
a disdain.
interest.
American interest.
Yes.
Yeah, he has a disdain, looks like, for America. Anything that might help America, he goes the other way. Yeah. You know, tariff, the Supreme Court rules, you couldn't do these tariffs. What did he do?
Right.
I can do some.
Right.
You know, 15% of it. I'm just saying anything, it looks like to me that we're under attack. The president's just a figurehead. Somebody else is running the country. And I personally say it's Putin, especially the military, and I think the military is being set up myself. How are you going to shoot up all the weapons, all the guns over here on one side of the world, and you're not protecting the backside? I'm just saying, it looks like we're being set up to me. Right. That's just my opinion, but we'll see. Time will tell, because I don't know if we're going to make it to the election. I know, like you say, he doesn't have the popularity to win another election. Shouldn't have won the last one.
Right.
No, and so that's my feeling that we're going to see a disaster pretty soon.
But to answer your question is that yes, it's something that lingers in the air, because you got to remember, we have, like I said, they have these cells, Syria, Yemen, but there's a cell in the United States of Iranians and Houthis, and all those different ones.
When you
Taliban,
say there's a cell, what do you mean?
The cell, there's a
sale, like
sale, outlets of different areas, and they spread it all throughout the United States. That they, when they decide to do what they want to do, they just send the order, if you will.
And at this point, and I'm thinking about you were talking about the sales that they have proxies out all over the world. We're saying, right? Is that what you're alluding to?
Exactly.
So they were just waiting for the order to cause some conflict.
Cause some chaos.
Chaos, okay. Now, we talking about America or Iran?
No, we're talking about Iranians in America.
I was just joking.
Oh, okay.
But,
the
chaos. We kind of
okay.
do the same thing, I just saying, where we at right now, we're falling where we don't have that moral stance as we maybe once had a little bit of.
Well, that the statement has always been, a lot of people, have an issue with that statement, is that the American military fights for a check and their patriotism to their country. The Iranians fight for a cause, an ideology. And which one do you think that the person would, because they don't have no problem with strapping on a jacket and being shown where the bus is at and go there, because they have this thought of what they're going to get on the other side.
It's like that song say, she's got a cause and causes problems.
Right.
That's on the dance floor. That's what that's one of my favorite groups. Right. But we're going to take a quick break and come back with our subject of the day.
All right.
Veterans, military, black veterans. All right, we're back. So we're going to talk about our subject today. EB, go and lead us out on the subject of the day.
The subject of the day, as we put out last week, is Black Americans in America's wars. And we all have our own different views and opinions about, black serving in the military. I was speaking, I was a black veteran, so I'm one of those, that number, but at a much later date. The black Americans participated in every U.S. war, contrary to what, has been said, as far as like what we haven't done our part. In the Revolutionary War, there was between 5,000 to 8,000 black soldiers. And the Civil War, there was like 180,000 that served in the Union Army, 10% total, and 19,000 in the Navy. In World War II, the one regiment served for 191 days in the front line, never losing a position. And never lose a position means that they never gave up no ground, is that they held their own.
And which one was that?
That was the 369 Infantry Regiment. They called the Hellfighters.
And that was World War II?
Yes, one. I'm
One,
sorry.
one.
That's World
Okay.
War One. Yes. Okay. World War II, there was over 1 million that served, and they served in segregated units.
Okay.
And they I don't know what it is about it, but in the initial part of a lot of the wars is that they didn't have blacks serving in combat roles, and the reason being is that they didn't feel comfortable with giving a black a weapon, thinking that. Well, if you think about it, I probably wouldn't have either. But anyway, and they served in a lot of segregated units. President Truman signed the desegregation in 1948, and you can imagine, the effect.
In 48, that's when he desegregated.
That's when he desegregated.
And that was, so 48 was after the war, after World War II. Yeah, right, that's right. 48 is
Right.
after, because World War II ended probably around 1944.
Right, yeah, but that wasn't a particular war. That was just information about, the segregation is that when that particular act happened.
Yeah.
Going
yeah,
forward.
but the war,
Yeah,
but I'm just saying they fought a whole war
Right, yeah.
being segregated,
Exactly.
and it's 4 years later they
Exactly.
become, and like you say, and it wasn't nothing new to
Right.
us. I mean, they went through the same thing in the Civil War.
Right.
Remember that movie, you can go watch the movie Glory, how they had to sit on the sideline before they got into action, and when they finally got into action,
Right.
Lincoln credited the black soldiers with turning the tide of the war. So that was the Civil War. I mean, America still hadn't learned this lesson in World War One, and then we get to World War II. That's where we're at right now in your conversation. I hope you mentioned the Tuskegee Airmen not losing,
Right.
where they escorted bombers.
Right.
But go ahead. I didn't mean go ahead.
Oh no, you're fine.
Keep going.
Is that, and then speaking of that, I'm giving you the numbers that we serve, but then again, is that we've always, as Black Americans, fought a two-front war. We fought the war of our enemies, whichever that enemy that was made known to us as far as us serving, and then we had another war, the other wars that we had here in the United States as far as like getting equality. Even in the war itself, there was segregation and racism. That we had no officers, black officers, and even when the segregated unit is that they had them set out, they had an individual that was in charge, but they was never made into an officer. They just had, you control these until that such time that we needed. That pay was not equal. So you think about, to be in a war and that you're fighting, and then you saying, like you said, because you're fighting in a war, and then you thinking about your people back home, is that you're fighting this war over here, for America. But then again, when you come back home, you still in the middle of a war, because that was one of the big challenges that a lot of people, because as a lot of people know, Muhammad Ali, made the statement. He say, "Why would I go fight the Viet Cong?" He said, "They ain't done nothing to me when I got people right here in the United States."
Yeah, he said the Cong never called me the N word.
Right, exactly. You know what I'm saying? So that's one of those things that we had to deal with. But then again, we've had people, in Black America that's, was in position of celebrity, and he was one, and that he gave up his title,
Yeah, he got they stripped him of his title, his money, and tried to strip him of his dignity. I mean, he went through it like most black people do. We had
Right.
those moments. His was just out in the open, and he was the spokesperson for a lot of black people.
Right.
Because he was a conscientious objector, right?
Conscientious objector.
And based on his religion,
Yep.
right? Okay.
Based on, and then but then again, we could say that with Muhammad Ali, and then you can go to Joe Frazier. I'm sorry, Joe Louis. Joe Louis was in the military. He called him, but then again, he was on the other side. He didn't bump up against it.
Right. Joe Louis was a veteran. In fact, I did learn the hard way that Joe Louis was a veteran. I was walking through the Arlington Cemetery in Virginia. There, was leaving where they did what did they do that ceremony, the closing of the
Two-month unknown soldier.
Yeah, 2 months unknown. That was it. Yes. And I was walking back, just happened to see a brown tombstone. Brown, I mean, beautiful. And that said Joe Louis, the brown, right there. You couldn't miss it. And so, yeah, he's out there in Arlington, the brown bomber, Joe Louis. But you're right. But Joe Louis, he actually went into the military and fought as Muhammad Ali. He was a righteous cause. He was right. So both, there's no wrong here when it comes to this situation.
Right. And the reason why I gave that difference is that just showing you Black Americans in American wars, and says how each individual, approaches. It says some people, feel this one way about it, and one way they feel the other way about it. So for him to be, Joe Louis, he did pretty well for himself, came back, champion and all that. But then again, to think that if he would have took the same stance that Ali would have took, what his life probably would have been like. But, talking about in the wars that, American wars, is that the one that's closely associated to me would be the Vietnam War, because
that's in our lifetime.
Right,
yes.
and during our lifetime. And I came in I went into service in 1979. It was 5 years after the Vietnam War ended. So I was just curious as like what the makeup. There was 300,000 African Americans that served in the Vietnam War. And then the disproportionate representation. In 1965, African Americans filled 31% of ground combat battalion. That goes to show you is that most of the blacks that was in the Vietnam War was put up front. And in the military is that a lot of the jobs that we have, even in the Air Force, is that if you remember, is that most of your African Americans, they was in jobs, supply, dining facility, admin, cops, or any other type of field that, for lack of a better way of saying it, that required your physical labor and not your mental labor. Mm-hmm. So that's what I observed.
Okay.
Because in the Air Force, every year the squadron that win the base championship in basketball is supply services. So because it just goes to show that.
Now you brought in some. We had some photos.
Yeah.
Black and white photos. What you want to show those?
Well, like I say, he could have just been flashing them when we were just talking about it.
Get our director to bring them up, and kind of, since they were in there, and he just strolled through them. But I wanted to come back to you were saying, and this is these are airmen here. That's not the Tuskegee Airmen, are they? Is that who that is? Got to be. It's the only time they would have flown. What's the next one? Go to the next slide there.
That just showed them working with building an airplane.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just pictures that's showing, the military and the black involvement in the military. Showing, military being awarded an award.
Okay. So. Cool. Let's see that. Yeah, and that's in the battle. That's like a live picture there.
Right.
May 4th, 19. That's World War II.
Right. So that's just a rundown.
Go ahead next. Yeah, it's okay. That's good.
Right.
That's good.
And
okay, I just
the
wanted to kind of give a glance at those pictures.
The fatalities between 1966 and 69, African Americans accounted for 20% of the total Army fatalities. So we gave to the wars. We gave to a lot of the wars. And and then you talk about the disproportionate of representation and how we was unfairly treated doing our duty to serve in the military. I'm reminded of this one individual. His name is Dorian Miller. He was a cook.
Okay.
On the, I think it was the battleship, the West Virginia.
West Virginia.
In Pearl Harbor.
Okay.
It's in Pearl Harbor. Mm-hmm. And I remember that I used to always, I've seen this little clip on him, so I just caught my interest. So I was like, who's this guy, And I read up on him, and he was talking about he was there when they was attacked in 1941 in Pearl Harbor. Mm-hmm. He was a cook. He was a mess, so he was below deck.
Okay.
They attacked him. He came from below the ship. All he'd ever been is a mess attendant. Mm-hmm. He came from below the ship and manned the gun. Never been trained on the gun because, of course, they didn't train, African Americans on those things because they didn't probably think they didn't have the mental capacity to do it, or they mm-hmm. for whatever reason they didn't.
Okay.
But anyway, he got up and he shot down two Japanese planes. Mm-hmm. And then he went back below the ship, and because he's a big guy, he real proud. And one of the officers down was trying to get the captain up because this is such a big, they were trying to get him to actually lift him up. Anyway, long story, they wasn't able to. But anyway, they put it, this one congressman put him in for the Medal of Honor. Mm-hmm. But the Secretary of Navy said that no African American would be awarded the Medal of Honor. And then, coming forward, I have seen and I've read and I've met some Medal of Honor winners, but I haven't, say that a lot of those folks did not do not even 10% of what this individual did for his country, if you will. But then again, that just show, how it is the thing that they had to deal with, right. As a Black American in an American's war. Right,
and I know he won't be getting it now, but it's just
he was killed in 1943.
I mean, posthumously they could
right, exactly.
They could still do it. And when I say I know he won't be getting it now, I mean like Donnie, the Orange Jesus won't give it to him.
That's true.
Because they're in this mode of just disgraceful discrimination that they're doing in the military. I mean, all these hundreds of years to build up to where we are, and for some nut job to come along and just throw it all away is it's just sad, and it's a sad state of affairs. So we're gonna. Man, it was a beautiful overview. Did you have anything else to add?
Well, we take a break, but it just goes back to when we always ask the question on this show, we're saying, well, what does that mean to us, as Black Americans? And it just goes to show is that we've been in this fight, and we've been in this fight for a long time. So as a former military member, I seen some of the things that and this is in the 80s, that I experienced. It was this one, real quick, this one unit that I was assigned to, and they had an individual that was coming there to take over the supervisor position. They looked at his name, and before he got there, they did away with his position and made everybody that would have been working for him come up under the supervisor over him. So it became, they actually did away. So those are kind of things that
in your lifetime,
in my lifetime, that I experienced, but I never been, in my years, never been called the N-word, and I never experienced anything that, but You
A
know,
lot of do now, man. What a great improvement for America.
yeah.
Give America a pat on the back.
Right,
You never
right.
get
No, I never did.
America's made great advancements.
Well,
And I'm just being facetious,
no.
but I mean that's a bare minimum that you wouldn't get called the N word.
Right, and you know, and the things that you know that it continues on, you know, because a couple of years ago they had a big thing about this one black Navy young lady that had twist in her head, and it was a whole big deal about that, you know. But
Okay,
you know,
okay.
these different things that we
on
deal
the
with.
hairdress in the military. That's a conversation in itself. But that was a good presentation, brother. We're gonna take a quick break and come back. We'll wrap it up with entertainment, and then that'll be the show. Take a break. All right, we're back. We're back. Entertainment for the last leg or the last 10 minutes of the show. March Madness is going on this week. A lot of basketball, college basketball. Oh, yeah, and before you talk about March Madness, I noticed that the players are getting paid now. I didn't know they were getting such. One guy like me is making $7 million with a college recruit. So that's different. I'm not mad at them. I'm happy for them because I'd rather see the players get out there sweating and all their work as opposed to some privileged white guy standing on the sideline, the coach that is, had probably never even bounced the ball, and out there trying to teach, people that are just naturally good at the game. So I think that's a plus. I see they're getting paid now. Is
It's
that
funny
right?
that you,
But go ahead.
No, you're right. You're right. Yeah, no, it's funny that you say that because that right there is a good segue because I rather talk about that than more match. Is that right there became that piece is that when you talk about what does that mean to us? Because you remember for years is that all these African Americans going to all these major white colleges and making mega dollars for them, and they was around there hungry, that they having people begging people for food. Star player on the team. Yeah. I remember back in the day, right. That's what that was complaint for. And so for them to do their NIL, name, image, and likeness, is that now they get a chance to get compensated for their talent and for people making money off of them. Yeah, they still sell their shirts. They gonna make some, but then again, they get a chance to make some as well. So I think that's a beautiful thing. I thought it should have been.
And I think it is. I think revenue sharing is long overdue. You had these coaches making millions upon millions of dollars, and they couldn't get the players a single dime, or they'll go on what they call probation.
Because they saying they pro.
Yeah,
if you're being paid, it was always said the reason why that they wouldn't play the college player because if they pay them, they are considered as a pro. That's the same thing like at the end of their college career, if they hire a lawyer, a agent, they can't come back. But if you don't hire an agent, you can go and try the draft, and if it don't work for you, you can come and go back to school.
Right. These are just type rules to kind of subject people and to control people. It's been since I was young. So they finally got the breakthrough. These players should have always been paid. When you see coaches making $10 million on average, and haven't dribbled a single ball, that's robbery to me. It's like let me just be frank about it. We black people.
Right.
That's a type of slavery.
My people.
Yeah, that's a type of slavery that, because you basically your labor is for free.
That's true.
You're out there entertainment. You see all these people in the audience. You see all these TV contracts, and you having to go back to your dormitory and starve for the evening because you missed the lunch or the dinner at the cafeteria. And so no, things are finally changing for that. This is for the good to me. Now I know it can be very tempting, and young people get all that money in their hand. But hey, I'd rather for you to have it and than not have it.
And you to jack it off as opposed to not having it, somebody else jacking it off.
Exactly. I wouldn't want you to get hurt over it.
Right, and that's a good point that you made, is that when you came up there and we was talking about, entertainment, that is a form of entertainment. Yes. That's what they was doing. They're entertainers. Right. But then again, they started, the colleges started, because they're all about that dollar. The colleges started saying, hey, these kids coming here doing 1 year and going off to the NBA. So that's that revenue flow that they before they used to get it for a minimum of 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
That rocket flow. But now they like you say, they're one and done. That's what they was trying to get rid of because it was hurting their bottom line. The bottom line NCAA.
Right. And I think that's funny because what their position should have been was education. It shouldn't have even been about the money. And if somebody comes in there one and done, that's their business. Hey, you're as far as the schools, to me, your argument shouldn't be about these players are not staying here long enough for us to make another $10 million off of them. So we need to keep these rules so we can control them. And like I say, so now that we got a somewhat fair system, and we were talking about generational wealth. Can you imagine all this wealth through all the years when we were coming up? These players had to play under all these rules and not getting compensated. Can you imagine if these players were getting compensated such as they are today? Because when you pay a black player, like he should get paid, he goes back to his community. What does he do? He spends that money in his community. What does he do? He supports his family. And you could go on and on about the generational wealth. We got these records over here behind you, and that's one of the subjects that we always talk about every now and then with these records. It's entertainment, how much generational wealth has been stolen from black people. And it still is ongoing, by the way. It's nothing. In fact, everybody's being robbed. Now, I hate to kind of go back to where we started from in politics, but when we have wars overseas, when these bombs are being blown up, that's a whole school that just would that. You think how much you can do, how much each bomb that drops in Iraq, about $1 million, right? Think about that. And they're dropping like candy. Right. And so that's a type of generational wealth. Think about how much reparations we could have got with just one or two or three of those bombs or one aircraft that went down. America's just it's twisted into this it's demonic type stuff. You don't want to help anybody but yourself. And so just back to the subject, though, I'm so glad that the players are being compensated finally, and I hope that they invest that money. Like the guy I was talking about, they got $7 million. Of course, it's not $7 million, by the way. It's more like $3.5 million. Uncle Sam gets his cut, so he really only getting $3.5 million, which I ain't arguing about. But with
the college is that because I remember that when there's one player, Angel Reese, that came to Chicago, is that the year she won the championship, they asked her, why don't you go to the WNBA? She made a comment that she take a pay cut. I'm like, take a pay cut? You going to the WNBA. Her country, when she was at LSU, she was making $4 million a year.
Okay.
Just with her NIL.
Yeah. I meant to come back to that phrase.
Yeah. Just like her NIL. But then again, you know how much her contract was for the Washington Sky?
What?
87.
Chicago Sky?
87,000.
80. Wow.
But the thing about it is, and to piggyback on that, you see the new CBA collective bargaining agreement for the women, the WNBA?
What is it?
Their minimum salary now is $600,000. It used to be $120,000. The average salary used to be $68,000. So now and then there's another argument that we're going to have, because they're going to start the argument. You're talking about black and white. They're going to say that they're saying is that, what's her name? Caitlin Clark is the reason why the WNBA is making the money that they are right now.
In the last 2 minutes, there was some controversy
Right.
when she came in. It
Right.
seemed to be with race.
Right. It was race.
And you brought up Angel Reese. I remember
Right.
that.
And that was the other part of it.
And so I have a problem with that because I think it's true. She brought in a lot of revenue, a lot of fans for the WNBA. Am I wrong?
No, you're not.
Yeah, okay.
No, but you know the problem is, go ahead.
Oh, but the same argument. All right. If I'm bringing in all this money, to showcase and and so forth, I should be compensated accordingly, and that applies to white people too. And so, she just happened to be the white girl that showed up that could shoot the ball very good. And I'm sorry, people like to see a good white player comes in and kind of and compete. So I'm not mad at her.
Okay, but you know what I'm
at
going
the
with?
WNBA to get.
Gotcha. And I follow you, and I'm tracking you, and I'm going along with what you're saying, and so I'm in agreement with you.
Okay.
But then again, this is where we sway off at, is that Caitlin Clark became the person that she became because she was a white basketball player that could shoot real good, and she was at a white school, Iowa,
Right.
that brought that match.
Okay.
So those two pieces. So that's the only reason that we was talking about her in the first place.
Okay.
But I ain't like say I could go. I wish we would have started this conversation earlier.
We can follow up next time because I'm gonna compare it to Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. Larry Bird, same thing. Went to a white school, white player.
Right.
Went to Boston. No,
he just continued on. He continued on.
But the revenue went up, and it just so happened Magic Johnson was coming from the West, and revenue went up. That's the bottom line. Entertain. But anyway, brother, we're right at the end of our time. Right at the end of our time, and we really appreciate everybody watching. I know we're just starting out. Hit the subscribe button. You can email us at bmct24@gmail.com. And it should be at the end of the show here. So that's it, brother. Appreciate it. 1 hour, man. We're right on time here, and I just want to say to everybody that's watching, as our ancestors would say, always, always do the right thing. Peace.